Howdy, y'all. I went to see Superman, and this is my review. Now, here's the thing. Anything can be a spiritual experience if you choose for it to be. So can every moment. And I love being on this trippy psychedelic path of spiritual growth. Not explicitly psychedelic, but it feels like I'm on a psychedelic. Where everything can mean anything, and everything means something. Nothing means nothing, even though everything also means nothing. There are moments where you go from the nothing to the something to the anything to the everything. Somebody should do a 4 quadrants map. But what I realized most in this film was that when I feel moments of compassion, is what I call them, from the podcast Clever Orbits, which this will double as an episode of, it's because I'm letting the love and empathy that I have as a mirror neuron possessing empathic being wake up in me and show up for and shine upon a character in their experience in a show or in a film, right? And that same thing happens with me and other humans. It's just there's a particular potency to the situations and circumstances that are created through plots on shows, on movies, on TV, whatever, that allow for that deep opening. Hey, good to see you all. So drop in the comments below, what did you think of Superman? I'd be super curious. Spoiler alert, I will be telling lots of things about the film, so if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's good. And click off now. So it's a patchwork of various comic book stories, cleverly Easter egged and puzzle pieced together into a new story. If you look at the videos analyzing this film, it's not new. It has not been created wholesale from a new cloth, but it is new in articulation and expression and orientation. There's great editing, great music, the action is fun, it's great aesthetic, great humor, and it feels like a comic book, for real, which I was satisfied with. The tropes and the cliches get spun newly. Superman starts the film, again, spoiler alert, beaten to a pulp. And it's like, what? We need to see him triumphant or something, right? No. So that left me in curiosity because it was new, that depiction, starting on that note, starting in that style. And I found myself, I was just like, I really like this movie. And so Superman, right? He's bumbling slightly in the way that you'd think Clark Kent would be, right? So Clark Kent, portrayed by Christopher Reeve in the old films, is like, oh, I don't know what's going on, and I'm kind of overly formal and stuffy and anxious and awkward. Whereas Superman is like confident, poised, clear, calm, grounded, strong. And his uncertainty arises from his willingness to be an inquiry about the reality that he's engaged with. I tend, so Carrie's commenting, I tend to suspend disbelief pretty easily and pretty clearly. So it's easy for me to just say, hey, if I feel you, if any part of me to any degree feels you through the, let's say, character, like method acting of the person on the screen, if they hit a moment, because the way that I perceive character is if I feel you, I personify you, I dignify you, regardless of what I know of your story. I don't need your story in order for me to know and feel you. I feel you as an immediate visceral responsiveness of my nervous system through empathy to you in front of me. So if an actor, like David Cornswinnet, whatever, and Rachel Brosnahan, I did get her name right, and Nicholas Hoult, if they express in a way that turns that system on, then I'm like, all right, it's cool to see them develop, for sure. And feel free to say what development you would have preferred to have seen, that you didn't see, that would have made this movie a good movie for you. Great. But for me, it was the way in which Superman conducts himself. And, there were moments of compassion where my heart opened and I cried a little, seeing Lois see his punk rock poster on the wall. And I was like, oh yeah, he's just a real person, right? And you see through his actions, through his expression, he feels about his robots so much compassion. And what stood out to me about him that I really loved is he loves so big, so deep, so much. His real superpower is the depth and relentlessness of his compassion. Saving the kid, saving the dog, not just his dog, but some other random dog. Saving the squirrel, that was a little nearly absurd, but hey, I started thinking, okay, well, does he save the ants? Like, is he looking to save the microbes? You could get all Jain on it, because the Jains are a certain form of mystics that they wear face masks so they don't accidentally inhale bugs and kill the bugs. And I was like, all right, so that could get overpendulated. But he to me, portrays and embodies masculine leadership in moments to a certain meaningful degree. Humility, inquiry, sensitivity, and surrender to love. He surrendered to love. He is clearly committed and devoted to this principle of love. And his parents are good. Parents aren't for telling children who they're supposed to be. And would you like to see the footage of your parents at the very end? Well, we choose who our parents are, and he chose his from the available options, right? Hurt people, and often we grow up in situations, family structures, where our parents inevitably hurt us. And so what do we get the option of doing at that point? Choosing to vote victory and see through to the perfection of the souls on their journeys, helping us on ours? Or get stuck on those characters didn't develop in the right way. So I have to reject it, push it away, and judge it. Okay. And in this particular case, Jor-El, played by Bradley Cooper, which I loved. I was like, what, really him? Okay, fine. Because he looks a lot younger than he is. I mean, he's like 50 now, but anyway. The centerpiece of the film is they sent him there, the Kryptonians to Earth, saying, all right, go rule and take a harem, which the press has no end of offense and upset about, because above all this, he's an alien and he's polyamorous. Oh God. I was just like, what? What an interesting point to hit at. Oh man. Okay, it's an alien culture. Have you studied tribes in Africa or South America or whatever? They do some strange stuff that's very much unlike what we do in the modern white American West or whatever. So, the purpose of his character, I think, was to display masculine leadership. At least that's how I read it. Now, of course, I wanted him to go all John Wick when his dog was taken. And luckily, that's not this Superman. That's Zack Snyder's Superman who does that, breaking necks and stuff, literally. And, he's at one point, Jor-El says, the people are confused and weak of mind and body, so you need to go to rule. And I think the desire to have a ruler in that sense is not bad or wrong. It's just that ruler is our higher self. If you look at the Kabbalah, the sun represents Tifereth, the expression of our higher self. So Superman is always orienting to and receiving new life from, giving himself to that higher expression. And it's a symbol of the principle of love that he then embodies and acts as a vehicle or a vessel or a channel for bringing to the world. Again, that's how I see it. And he's a nurse and a surgeon, by the way. He not only saves people, but then he gets them to breathe correctly so that they can calm their nervous system down. I thought that was so cool. I was like, he's really sensitive and compassionate here. And at the same time, he's powerful. He flies through different weather types in rapid succession in a single scene. And I was like, that's pretty cool, yo. I mean, we've never seen Superman actually do that, even though he can and obviously has. I mean, in the animated series, probably he did that. But in any case, the people are confused and weak of mind and body. It's so true. So you see a sort of echo, or you hear an echo in this script of the modern world's struggling for a memeplex or philosophy or worldview that encapsulates all of it and has us dance and deal with what is in a way that lands and integrates for us. We'd rather, I think it's Slavoj Žižek, he wrote, we'd rather believe in the apocalypse is coming than the apocalypse of capitalism. Well, we'd rather believe in a superhero will save us than there is a God and a source energy and a very particular expression of that we get to submit to, like Superman submits to the power of love, the sun, and as a expression of his higher self. And I'm going to go all Christian on you, all right? So buckle up. There was a moment where the Indian man gets brutally murdered. And it breaks Superman's heart, and it breaks the heart of the rock guy next to him in the prison in the Pocket Universe. And I thought to myself, it reminded me of Revelation 1, what is it? 1, you can see I'm reading a little bit. 1:7. Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all peoples of the earth will mourn because of him. And I thought that's exactly what's going on here. They are mourning because they see this guy who was pierced by a bullet to the brain that left him on the floor. And I was like, okay, I get it. We as humans, like, what is the value mimetically, energetically, mythologically, collective unconsciously, of the specific embodiment and expression of the invisible God that is the infinite intelligence that makes all your manifestations happen according to divine and within divine will and timing? Because I'm not the only one who's manifesting cool stuff in his life, right? But I realized my little mini-me, my ego's not doing all this consciously or intentionally or by itself. It's a larger wealth of orchestration and synchronicity and serendipity and magic and miracle that is being delivered to me. Yes, I may participate in it, and I may be feeding it through the images I put into my imagination and the feeling, the subconscious response to rhythm, repetition, deep feeling, and simplicity. So to the degree that I'm operating by those laws of nature, use my imagination the way that it was intended for, yes, I can expect results. But those results, again, aren't being produced by me. So who and what are they being produced by? Well, I say it's God. And then we ask, well, why does God need a human face? Why does God need to show up in embodied grace as a superhero? Because, you know, right, we have the first coming of Christ, and you know, these creators for Superman, they were Jewish, but this is kind of a messianic myth, and to the degree that it's messianic, it makes it a couple ticks in the direction of like Superman being Christ. Nobody's making explicit parallels. I mean, they did in previous films where Clark on Smallville is like hung up, and other things like that, where he's sacrificing himself or whatever. But I got into thinking, every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the peoples on the earth will wail because of him. I'm also doing a Revelation Bible study. If you want to check that out, it's in another playlist on YouTube and below on my personal profile here on Facebook. So the Indian guy gets shot, and the second coming of Christ is when our individual empathy includes everyone, which due to Dunbar's number and neuroanthropological limitations, we literally cannot include all of who we see in reality on this planet in, our individual calculations. We literally don't have the capacity for empathy. I mean, if there's somebody in front of us, we can turn on and tune in and open up our heart and our nervous system's capacity for empathy, but we can't include everyone in a mental conception or model, or we might get overloaded if we were feeling everyone in a room. You hear empaths talk about, or psychic gifted people talking about, but Christ can. So we wail because we've pierced the other and we feel it. We expand our capacity for empathy through giving it to thee, so to speak. And then Superman is an image of that, because he can literally hear, see, feel, well, exponentially more than the individual human can. And which goes back to, they sent me to Earth to serve and make Earth a better place. And that same Indian guy, by the way, had helped him up earlier when he was collapsed and broken on the he wasn't broken, but he had broken the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, that drew me to tears the very first time I saw it in the trailer. I was like, wow, Superman being helped by a human. Like, we're all here to help each other. And then there was a moment where I was sitting in the film where they sent me to Earth to serve and to a certain degree to rule and make Earth a better place. And I was like, yeah, I'm the king of my thing. I'm here to sing about what I bring and to bring that fully into existence, into experience, into service to others without fear. And I am rightfully the king of that particular territory, having dominion over that particular thing. Now, I'm not the king over everybody, but I am still here to rule. And you are too, to some degree, the king of your thing or the queen of your scene, in divine dharma, in alignment with your purpose, with the will of heaven behind you. So my friend who I was watching it with, I was like, yeah, that's us. We're like, so it's like The Stranger by Albert Camus, which intriguingly enough, I happen to have a copy of right here. L'étranger. I was studying French for a while. So, long story short, I think Superman is a place for the viewer to put themselves as an aspirational, inspirational leadership model. Relentless compassion, unmitigated, unyielding, deep, rich, subtle nurse and compassion and surgeon. Like surgeon, I'll fight Ultraman or Luthor or whatever. But nurse, like I'm going to sit there and let Luthor yell at me after I just came into his building and absolutely am certain that he's been trying to kill me for a long time, like letting him talk. And then I loved, I love and hate the dog. Krypto's great. Train the dang dog. That was the thought I kept having over and over. And I was a little disappointed that it's not his dog, like it's actually Supergirl's dog. And there was a moment where I was like, maybe animals like pets aren't codependent, subservient quadrupeds, mostly cats and dogs, right? Who the owners are using to feel better about themselves or feel less alone, and domesticating so that they can have their egos stroked by something that appears to unconditionally love you, but is really just wanting you to feed it, and knows that if it does the right thing with you, I mean, like the intelligence level of animals is a whole conversation, and the sentience is there for sure, but the intelligence level and what are we actually handling? But let's go back to Superman. Superman is anxious attached. You see he's a little worried about her. Like, what did you mean by that? When he's talking to Lois, like, this isn't going to work. And then there's also this fun part about, like, how do the glasses fool anyone ever? I'm glad they explained that. They're hypno glasses. And then parents aren't for telling children what they're supposed to be. And then, would you like to see the footage of your parents? And at the end, he sees the footage of his actual parents. He switched it because he was upholding his Kryptonian parents. And now the myth of, he got certain things from them. And in fact, you can look at it as mother and father, right? What did I get from mom that I appreciate? And I'm letting go of what didn't work for me in her genetics, in her generational lines, whatever. Also with dad. So we choose our parents. I choose what I learn from and what I take from all of my experiences, all of my actions, all of my results in my life. And so does Superman, which is great. So then there was a question earlier in the film, who is cooler, Superman or Lex? I wasn't actually sure because I was like, Lex is smart. Lex is really clever. His strategy is brilliant. And he's got these two plans at once where he's investigating the Fortress of Solitude so that he can get information to sabotage Superman's public perception, leveraging the media, which is Superman's greatest enemy in this film. And then he's also having Ultraman in the form of this suited villain representing a country fight so that he can, get in there. And I mean, it's well written. He's a well written character. He also reminds me of a startup entrepreneur with a really great corporate culture. You see all these people in Lex Luthor, like LexCorp shirts, and they're like, yeah, we're fighting Superman, great. So they've all obviously bought into some kind of sophisticated, subtle, specific, philosophical point of view that Lex has inculturated them with, has maybe domesticated them with. And he's got a theme song. And I was like, oh, this is what Lex Luthor would be if he were just like Elon Musk, but spun clear evil. He would be clever, creative, well-funded, and doing crazy stuff because of his own fears, which arguably build a path to Mars, right? SpaceX and save the world from fossil fuels and whatever else. Like, that is from a fundamental fear in that man's psyche. A fear that we won't survive unless we become a multiplanetary species. Now, I mean, maybe it's just an ambitious aspiration. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it might be fear. Excuse me, that was my computer. So Lois was also solid at the end when they're making out as he's flying. it was like, this is a creationship, a relationship about more than just itself, a relationship built to serve the world and help the world thrive, where our unique colors of the rainbow interdependently synergize and harmonize to make a bigger difference. And I was like, I want one of those. And so I took a picture and I was like, this is really sweet. And then let's go to the Justice Gang, right? Superman, at one point, he has to inspire them. Jerks like Guy Gardner playing Green Lantern, played by Nathan Fillion. It was good to see him again, all the way back to Firefly is the last time I really saw him as an actor doing his thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, they do the right thing, even though they are corporately sponsored. And they left me asking the question, which superheroes do you respect and why? Supergirl, I don't really respect. She walks in drunk and insults her brother for taking care of the dog. I mean, like, he's taking care of the dog. He's a good brother or cousin, excuse me. And then Mr. Terrific was in fact terrific. He showed his intelligence and his sensitivity, even though he doesn't do emotions, quote unquote. Great actor. Hawk Girl was like horrifying in the way that you would imagine an actual hawk attacking you to be. And Green Lantern, I mean, he's powerful, but he's arrogant and he's ego-driven, and maybe that's how he is in the comics. I don't know. Well, let's talk about Superman's biggest enemy, right? His biggest enemy is the media and optics. Optics is a social, political, psychological phenomenon that we cannot get over, right? People get canceled, killed off, cut off, cast out of communities regularly. They get storied and coded in the conversations of people through gossip and judgment all the time. Just look at how petty it can be in the, for example, Austin conscious community. Not bad or wrong, just like people are constantly firing pot shots at each other about like, this person did that thing and look at how they conduct themselves, and then this person fires back, and it's like, I thought we were the conscious community, y'all. But spiritual ego can be even more powerful than regular ego, because the amount of certainty and the depth of felt self-perceived groundedness is stronger. And so anyway, back to the film. Everyone is reading newspapers, right? So public perception and journalism, and what is the part that journalism plays in the modern world, they're all there on brilliant thematic display. And so now I'm going to go into some random stuff that I liked about the film, right? But the general theme is that Superman embodies compassion and leadership in a certain way. Lex Luthor mirrors that from an inverted perspective. Lois is solid. The Justice Gang is good enough. Krypto is entertaining. But let's go into the fine details. The Fortress of Solitude, which violates international treaties apparently, and disappears and reappears as needed. I thought that was really cool. It's beautiful. The S on his chest is beautiful. The idea of Ultraman is beautiful and fun. Great editing. Breakfast for Dinner is always one of my favorites. In college, I would go for breakfast for dinner a lot. That's a really great experience. General Flag is a silly name. General Flag. It's like General United States of America or General Patriot. I mean, like, what? And then the whole idea of Superman interfering with foreign affairs, yeah, it's been done in comics before, but on screen, like, okay, this is intriguing. They did a little bit with the Snyderverse. The psychogeography of Lois interviewing Superman. She's kind of like, or interviewing Clark at that point, I guess. She's like moving throughout the room in order to get a better view, energetically and emotionally, of what's going on with Superman. And I noticed that, and I was like, whoa, cool. All right, finally, let's go to Jimmy Olsen, and then the rest of the random stuff I have to say, and then I'm done. Few things I hate more than petty ex-girlfriends. Who could tell that that was the writers expressing their frustration with specific past experiences they have had? Because we know that James Gunn motion captured his own dog to represent Krypto, and wrote Krypto into the film as sort of the most intriguing thematic plot tie. By the way, again, I loved when Krypto, like, ripped a new whatever into Lex Luthor near the end. He just attacks. He's like, you mess with my master? What? I'm gonna mess with you. And I was just like, go dog. And everybody in the audience was kind of awkward, and I was like, yes. But yeah, to be Jimmy Olsen, he's codependent with his ex-girlfriend, and so many people are codependent to some degree in this thing. And Yeah, and then an army of monkeys, brilliant, like intelligent monkeys. That was terrifying. Talking about superheroes as if they're of the cloth directly relates it to religion and spirituality. That was a Green Lantern thing. Don't get involved in politics, again from the Green Lantern. That was intriguing to me because, if a corporation controls a superhero, then it no longer is a symbol of authority and power. If you are controlled by a corporation, similarly, right? That's what happens. I like the David and Goliath thing at the end, where there's a kid praying to Superman and putting up the bat signal, but better because it's the Superman symbol, hoping that Superman will come rescue them. And like, it's okay to believe in heroes. It's in this case, Superman is an expression of our higher self or our best self, right? Acting with relentless compassion, sensitivity, humility, and inquiry in leadership as the king of our thing, come to rule, serve, and make the world a better place. I saw that. Now, there may be more subtle political messages coded in Superman or people arguing about that. I don't care. The heck with that. I found something that was gold for me. And Green Lantern is a douche. Like, just straight up. There will definitely be a sequel. They gave us what we wanted, right? They gave us what we wanted as a movie. Yeah, it was popular, hit the right beats, and the villains were cartoonish in a certain degree. They're fun cartoons. The Baravian president reminds me of someone very specific. I'll leave that to your imagination. I'm not interested in those conversations explicitly on this thing here. But yeah, if you've had fun, comment below. Let me know what you thought of Superman and what you thought of what I thought, because it's been a pleasure and a privilege and an